In a week when local politics seems to have been turned up a notch or two in the debate over town council finances, it was a curious coincidence that we should have close analysis on TV of the two opposing extremes which drive politicians. Tuesday night's edition of BBC One's Imagine series was all about Machiavelli, who said it was better for a leader to be feared than loved. And then, the other night, the death of Nelson Mandela, who epitomised the opposite. That monopolised our screens. The two extremes share very few principles, but one of them would be that only weak leaders show fear. Machiavelli would have counselled avoiding that at all costs, and Mandela never did it. The politics which has surrounded us over the last week is all about fear, which shows perhaps the quality of our representatives. First we had the Tories in Bury, desperate to find ways of filling the shortfall in their budgets caused by the government's swinging cuts in the cause of austerity. And they lighted on the council tax support grant by which the government had sought to mitigate the effects of changes in the way council tax benefit was calculated on local authority finances. The borough, which is the tax-raising authority, so gets the grant initially, had last year dutifully passed it on to town and parish councillors. Suddenly, they saw it as a way of maintaining their council tax freeze without making other more noticeable cuts which might be unpopular. In this way, the cuts fall on other authorities, forcing them to make the unpopular decisions, which is ideal for Tories, who since their disaster in May in the county council elections feel under threat from UKIP. It's Machiavelli's theory in action of making your deputy do all the nasty jobs. Tories on the town council, however, have shown more the influence of Mandela than Machiavelli. After Labour grabbed power in 2011 in a sharp political coup, the Tories, with a commendably Mandela-like lack of rancour, unified with them to work for the good of the town, and until this week had supported raising council tax a little to cover the shortfall and keep Haverhill's distinctive community activities going. Of course, they fear the unpopularity of cutting events, but to be fair to them, they also don't want to do it because they believe this is the right policy and is doing a good job on behalf of their people. The town's MP, Matthew Hancock, who many see as a future leader, raised the stakes by entering this difficult debate this week. It goes without saying that as a close colleague of the Chancellor, George Osborne, he doesn't want to see council tax raised in a town in his own constituency. One doesn't know the ins and outs of what was said at the previous weekend's meeting of Tories, but we gain the impression that the Haverhill Tory town councillors had their minds changed for them on the political imperative of looking for a divisive issue. It may even be that Mr. Hancock himself regrets intervening so directly and publicly without adding, as he did later, the mitigating fact that he would like to see the Tories at St Edmundsbury reverse the cutting of Haverhill's share of the council tax support grant and continue to pass it on like good little boys and girls. The move was clearly intended to wrong-foot UKIP, who have had to come out and say they will, rather uncharacteristically, support a council tax rise because they are populist politicians and they fear a backlash if the standing of Haverhill's community becomes impoverished. It's a hypothetical tax rise at present anyway. Other avenues are being explored, so it may not come to that. But if it does, there is an argument to be made that, as a last resort, it would be a good thing, and our Tory councillors know that. Nevertheless, Machiavelli says it is important for a leader to learn how not to do good. That seems to be a lesson that the late Nelson Mandela never came to grips with.